Average Pat's Movie Reviews.
Hi everyone, Average Pat here to sit to chat today about the movie Midway. Midway is another movie about World War II, bringing light to some unknown or maybe lesser known facts about incredible battles or the war. It stars Ed Skrein, Patrick Wilson, Woody Harrelson, Luke Evans, Mandy Moore, Luke Kleintack, Dennis Quaid, Aaron Eckhart, Keenan Johnson, Nick Jonas. The list is proud and mighty. There's quite a good list of people in here. And I'm amazed to say that many of them you don't stop and think, oh, wow, that's a great job in that role. They're being cast as real people who really did survive this battle. In another movie that shows that our generation has no clue what some of the older generations have gone through. Midway is picking up after where Pearl Harbor left off. Now, it's not connected to that movie in any way, obviously, whatsoever. It does have several events that occur in both movies. Obviously, the Pearl Harbor attack itself is a major historical moment in American history that can't be denied or anything along those lines. We lost 3,000 sailors and a lot of civilians in that incident. And that's addressed in both Pearl Harbor and in this one. This one doesn't quite as go detailed, obviously, because it's more about the movie, the battle at Midway Island, not Pearl Harbor. But it shows the inspiration for why Midway was so important. All of our battleships were destroyed. Luckily, our carriers were not at port. Otherwise, we would have had a whole different ending to the World War II. However, this shows the significance of how crippled the American fleet was. There is another reference to the Doolittle raid, which I will admit I learned about for the very first time by watching the movie Pearl Harbor. I had never been instructed about the Jimmy Doolittle raid that bombed Tokyo after Pearl Harbor. I was not aware of that before that movie. This does address it again in this movie as well. It's not Alec Baldwin in the role of Mr. Doolittle. It is actually Aaron Eckhart, and he does a very good job as well. The main focus is the character of Dick Best, who's played by Ed Skrein. He personifies many of the younger of that generation, the younger soldiers in that generation, who were thrust into the war, who were wanted to help their country, who had to step up and raise their game, raise their abilities, raise their challenges, and risk their life for their country, for their lives, for their livelihood, for their families, for everybody. And the hell they went through, the sheer volume of odds they overcame to have any victories at all in the war, let alone at something so lopsided a battle as Midway was, speaks volumes for the amount of people, for the volume of what these people have endured. Now, Dick Best is a real-life person. His wife, Anne, was portrayed by Mandy Moore. And Mandy actually was one of those ones where I didn't realize it was Mandy Moore because I didn't care that it was an actress or an actor. I wanted to see the relationship that she had to supporting her husband in such a crazy, man, we know this is going to be ugly, but you got to do it type situation. The only major drawback that I would say for Ed Skrein was he did have a really thick accent that came across as a Jersey accent, the Joyzy type. It seems stereotypical in some aspects, but it was what a lot of those people were. They were tough. They were proud of their heritage. They didn't try to hide where they were from. They spoke as they thought, wore their heart on their sleeves, and during times of high emotion, the I guess attitude and the personification of where they came from comes out to play. In his case, from the East Coast, he had that type of attitude that I'm a good pilot, I'm a damn good person, and I can prove it, and there's nothing you can say or do. And that was what a lot of that generation was. They were people that were put into insane odds and insane situations that they overcame, and to be as good as they were at piloting when they had known nothing about it before the war is just incredible. The hardships they faced, the amount of bullets fired at them, the sheer volume of horrors of watching their friends get shot out of the sky next to them, or knowing that you gave literally your life, and for what? You didn't make a consequence at that moment. The war obviously did, and you were willing to sacrifice your life for that, but Some people died in vain just trying to take a diving, bombing run towards a boat or a plane, and were shot out of the sky. And to be able to see friends and loved ones, obviously you're going to have loved ones at that point because they're your brothers in the war. Literally get killed next to you, and to be able to come back out and do it the next day, I can't imagine the sheer emotional toll it took on these gentlemen. The graphics in this are incredible. The CGI is ridiculously well done, and it only gives you a glimpse of the hell that really these men experienced. The anti-aircraft fire coming in while they're trying to attack is overwhelming. I mean, you can't imagine that this really took place, and it actually did. And these events really did occur. People survived this stuff just looking at the movie going, there's no way in hell anybody's going to be able to pull this off. There's the sheer volume of flak cannons and anti-aircraft shots are insane, but yet people manage to do it. And this captures it very well. The one thing I would say is that a lot of the scenes of Japanese soldiers firing at an aircraft from some of their carriers, it seemed to have been recycled and used more than once. Now, maybe that's just me being picky, but I particularly remember one gentleman pointing and gesturing while the gun was moving in one direction about 3 separate times. I remember that exact same guy doing the exact same moment. Minor detail. They probably didn't have that much time to refilm Japanese soldiers doing the same motions and all. I'm not positive, but that's just me being picky, honestly. The chemistry between the soldiers was very well captured. Chester Nimitz was played by Woody Harrelson. Admiral Halsey was played by Dennis Quaid, who had a nice grovelly growl. And from what I understand, any video or recording of Bill Halsey or anybody who's ever talked to him said he had a gruff growl and was an ornery bastard, but was really good at what he did and had a lot of faith in his soldiers. And he showed it very well. The overall method of how they used intelligence, how they gathered it, how they put it together, how they managed to figure out exactly where and when the Japanese fleet was going to be after the disastrous events at Pearl Harbor was all captured very well. The chemistry between the actors in the scenes was impressive. It seemed to have been, a loving tribute to what these guys really went through. These, the gentlemen and people and women in the movie were incredible at grasping the level of emotion that they could, from what I could see. One scene, Mandy Moore's character Ann Best goes into a house full of other wives, and they're listening to the stories of what's going on, and they're hearing how bad it is, and her automatic response is, I need to go powder my nose, and runs to the bathroom, and has her momentary breakdown where she starts to get overwhelmed, and then says, and then you could see her mind make up, nope, this is not how I'm going to be. I'm going to be strong. I'm going to go out. I'm going to face this head on. And she does. And I know with my grandparents and their family and friends, that's what generation was. They never showed weakness. They said we can get through this. And I think these characters were very well portrayed. These real people were very well portrayed by the actors and actresses. The storyline is incredible. It's again a true story. It's a little bit fancified as some scenes, I believe. Only very minor details were. From what I remember of Midway, when I looked up and researched it, it all seemed to be pretty well laid out exactly as the movie had it, with a couple minor details. I'll let you decide which ones you think they were, because I don't spoil. To see the level of dedication to making something like this historically accurate, to me, makes a huge difference. You want something that's done correctly. You don't want it too fancified. Like Michael Bay got a lot of backlash for the extra love triangle during Pearl Harbor. Personally, I didn't mind it. I liked the characters that were in Pearl Harbor. I liked the raw emotion that they put into them. This one didn't have that. This had actual passion for the real the people that were really there. There weren't, made up names of people that were there that they, when they show, at a funeral scene, their last name's covered up because they didn't really exist, or they're not somebody put together in a conglomeration. This is a very well done movie, and I was very floored by the sheer graphics of it, the cinematography of it. The score is incredible. It fits in perfectly. Overall, I give this easily a 4.75 out of 5. It's a very well done military movie, a war movie that unfortunately most people aren't aware of the details of Midway, and this helps bring a lot of it to light. And I believe it was a necessary film. We need to know more of our history, and this does help bring a lot of it to the front light. Again, 4.75 out of 5. I highly recommend going to see it in the theaters. I apologize for this review not being up earlier. I've had issues with saving incorrectly and trying to reformat it. I wound up making it even worse. So I have it up now, and hopefully you like it. If you do like it, please make sure to click like on Facebook, subscribe to my YouTube page, click the little notification bell. That way you get a heads up whenever I put up a new review. I appreciate everybody's feedback. Hope to get some more on YouTube or Facebook. Please give me comments, questions, suggestions, anything you want. And I'll look forward to answering it for you guys. Thanks a lot. Have a great night.